Did you know that the narcissistic individual isn't just self-centered, but a master at manipulating your emotions without you even realizing it? What goes on in their minds is more elaborate and more dangerous than you can imagine. And what if I told you that in just a few moments you can learn to see beyond that facade and finally turn the tables? In this material, we will uncover the truths they would never admit, so you can emotionally shield yourself. Understanding how they think isn't just enlightening, it's liberating. Now, the question is, are you ready to reclaim the control they never wanted you to have? Characteristic 1, I am the center of everything. For a narcissist, the universe doesn't just orbit around them. It seems to have been designed to satisfy their whims. Their own needs are always at the top of the list, and any scenario that doesn't meet their expectations is seen as a personal affront. Imagine a trivial situation. You decide to prioritize something crucial in your life, but the narcissist interprets this as a direct neglect of them. They don't see the other person as an individual with their own desires, but as someone who exists to fulfill their demands. They insist on being heard, noticed, and validated at all times, as if the world owes them something. Small details, like you taking too long to reply to a message or not reacting as they expect, can trigger disproportionate responses. It's vital to recognize that this absolute centrality they demand will never be filled. No matter how much you try to please them, there will always be a new demand, a new unattainable standard. In practice, dealing with this requires clarity and firmness. It's not about directly confronting them. That, most of the time, only fuels more conflict. Instead, stay focused on your own priorities and values. For example, when setting a boundary, be direct and resolute, without giving in to the guilt they might try to impose. It's like telling yourself, I am also the center of my own universe, and that's okay. Historical wisdom helps us navigate this dynamic in a balanced way. As the Stoics teach us, what's under our control is how we react, not others' behavior. Thus, you can emotionally protect yourself, understanding that the narcissist acts this way not because of something you did, but because of who they are. Respecting your own boundaries is a way to preserve your serenity, while the narcissist continues in their self-centered orbit. Characteristic 2. It's all about control. For the narcissist, control isn't just a need, it's the foundation of their emotional security. They believe that by manipulating individuals and circumstances, they will always be at an advantage, always in command. This can manifest overtly, like attempts to dictate what you should do, or subtly, like an apparently innocent comment that plants doubt in your mind. It's almost as if they were directors of a play, writing each scene to ensure the show follows exactly the script they created. When something deviates from this control, even minimally, they can react with anger or frustration, as if the world were conspiring against them. A concrete example is when you make an autonomous decision without consulting or informing the narcissist. This can be something trivial, like changing a plan last minute. For them, this is a direct threat to their authority, and the reaction can involve manipulation through guilt or accusations. To deal with this, it's crucial to understand what you can truly control: your actions, choices, and reactions. This is something Stoicism teaches with mastery. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to prevent the narcissist from losing control, because they will always find something to criticize, focus on maintaining your own composure. A good practice is to remember that there's no way to control another's perception or reactions, but you can choose not to be manipulated. This kind of attitude is liberating. When you stop fighting the narcissist's behavior and accept that the control they seek is an illusion, it becomes simpler to preserve your inner peace. Recognize that your strength lies in your ability to decide what deserves your attention and energy. The narcissist craves the stage, but you don't have to be the audience applauding every act. Characteristic 3. I cannot be vulnerable. For the narcissist, vulnerability is synonymous with weakness, something to be avoided at all costs. Behind every facade of self-confidence lies an intense fear of exposure, as if admitting flaws or insecurities could disintegrate the image they try to project. It's common to see them avoid deep discussions about their emotions or deflect conversations that might reveal some fragility. They build high walls, not to protect themselves, but to ensure no one sees the cracks. This aversion to vulnerability causes the narcissist to constantly criticize or disparage those who express emotions more openly. Imagine, for example, a situation where you share something personal and seek support. Instead of empathy, the narcissist might respond with disdain or even use it against you later. They view emotional openness as a weapon that can be used by others, so they reject the idea of showing themselves authentically. For you, accepting your own vulnerabilities can be the greatest act of strength. Stoicism reminds us that we are human and that imperfections are part of the experience. Recognizing your own limits and fragilities doesn't make you weaker, but more conscious. A practical exercise is to record in a diary moments when you felt fear or doubt, reflecting on the learning these situations brought. This is something the narcissist completely avoids. When interacting with someone like this, remember, it's not your role to fix or convince the narcissist that being vulnerable is safe. Your greatest victory lies in creating a space where your emotions are validated and respected, regardless of what they think. True courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it, something the narcissist will never understand. Characteristic 4. You exist to validate me. From the narcissist's perspective, your existence has a single purpose: to emotionally fuel them. They need constant validation, as if it were the fuel that keeps their ego running. It's like a balloon that constantly needs air. Without this attention, they crumble. This behavior manifests in gestures and words that, at first glance, may seem like a request for approval, but are in fact a demand. And when they don't receive what they expect, their reaction can range from silent frustration to direct attacks. Behind this need lies an extreme dependence on others' opinions. The narcissist frequently seeks praise in a disguised way, often testing how you respond. Imagine a scenario where they casually ask if you liked something they did. If the answer isn't enthusiastic enough, it can trigger a sequence of criticisms or a mood swing that makes the need for validation evident. Now reflect on this from a Stoic viewpoint. Your opinion of yourself should be the only one that truly matters. You don't need to be available to validate the narcissist all the time. Try, for example, to set clear boundaries. If they try to manipulate you to get attention, a direct and calm response like, "I understand what you want, but that's not something I can offer right now," can work. This disarms them because they don't expect a calm and balanced reaction. This type of interaction requires practice, but it's worth it. When you learn not to depend on the narcissist's recognition to feel good about yourself, you begin to gain control over your own narrative. The validation they seek is endless, but your peace can be constant as long as you remember who truly holds the power over your emotions. You. Characteristic 5. I deserve everything. In the narcissist's mind, the sense of entitlement is absolute and unquestionable. They see themselves as worthy of privileges, regardless of any effort or merit. It's as if life owes them special treatment simply for existing. This behavior often manifests in an arrogant and demanding manner. For example, imagine a narcissist arriving at an event and expecting to be treated as a guest of honor, even without having contributed or justified such status. For them, all of this is natural. For others, it's a constant surprise. This "I deserve everything" mentality also causes them to devalue others' achievements because, in their view, no one ever deserves more than them. A narcissist might, for instance, diminish your professional success by saying something like, "Oh, but that was luck, right?" Or, "If I wanted to, I'd do that too." This attitude is not only frustrating, but can also be draining if you try to justify or defend your worth in front of someone who will never acknowledge it. The Stoic practice can offer a powerful perspective here. Instead of seeking recognition or approval from the narcissist, focus on gratitude for what you already have. Stoics teach that true value is not in obtaining more, but in appreciating enough. Do a simple exercise daily. Reflect on 3 things you are grateful for, regardless of what others think. This helps keep the focus on your own journey and neutralizes the incessant comparison the narcissist might provoke. It's liberating to realize you don't have to play their game. While the narcissist gets lost in an incessant search for privileges they believe they deserve, you can live more lightly, valuing what truly matters. In the end, it's not about who has more, but about who can find peace with what they have. This is the kind of richness the narcissist will never understand. Characteristic 6. If something goes wrong, it's never my fault. For the narcissist, taking blame is almost unthinkable. When something goes wrong, the first reaction is to find someone or something to blame. It's as if there's an invisible shield protecting them from any fault or error while directing the blame towards others. This can happen in everyday situations, like when they miss a deadline and, instead of admitting they procrastinated, they blame someone for not reminding them in time. For them, the mistake is not a reflection of their choices, but always an external consequence. This refusal to take responsibility creates a toxic cycle, especially in relationships. Imagine a conflict where you express something that bothers you. The narcissist quickly flips the situation, becoming the victim or accusing you of being the problem. This can make you question yourself, even when you know you're right. It's a subtle but extremely effective manipulation strategy to avoid any introspection or change. The Stoics teach us the art of accepting responsibility for what's under our control, and that includes our own actions. To avoid falling into the narcissist's trap, practice self-reflection. Ask yourself, did I really do something wrong, or am I being manipulated into thinking so? A practical exercise is to keep a journal where you objectively record events. This helps identify patterns and avoid taking on blame that isn't yours. Remember that your peace shouldn't depend on the narcissist's need to flee from blame. Recognizing that you have human limitations is a virtue while they see it as weakness. By freeing yourself from the pressure of absorbing responsibilities that aren't yours, you preserve your emotional energy and protect yourself from manipulation. In the end, taking responsibility for what is yours, and only what is yours, is one of the greatest acts of strength and balance. Characteristic 7. I don't handle criticism. For the narcissist, criticism is like a threat to their carefully constructed facade of perfection. Any observation suggesting a flaw or imperfection is interpreted as a direct attack, and the reaction is almost always defensive or aggressive. This can be something as simple as you pointing out a small mistake, like forgetting to reply to an important message. For them, this isn't just a mistake, it's an affront to their ego, and they may react by attacking or belittling whoever dared to criticize them. This absolute rejection of criticism creates a cycle where the narcissist never grows, never learns from their mistakes, and constantly blames the world instead of looking inward. Imagine trying to give constructive feedback in a professional setting, like suggesting improvements to a project. Instead of considering the comment, the narcissist might deflect by focusing on others' flaws or even questioning your competence, making the environment toxic and unproductive. The Stoic approach to dealing with criticism is transformative. According to the Stoics, criticism is an opportunity for growth, but not all of it deserves to be internalized. When you hear something that bothers you, ask yourself, is this true? Does this really matter? If it's something you can improve, see it as a chance for evolution. If it's not constructive, let it pass like water flowing over a stone. A useful exercise is to practice active listening, absorbing what was said before reacting, even when the criticism comes from the narcissist. Remember, it's not your role to convince the narcissist to deal with criticism in a healthy way. What you can do is protect your energy and maintain your composure in the face of their disproportionate reactions. Being able to hear criticism without losing your balance is a powerful skill that, with practice, can become your greatest defense against emotional manipulation. Characteristic 8. Relationships are transactions. For the narcissist, a relationship is not a space for genuine emotional exchange, but a social calculator. Everything is measured, weighed, and evaluated based on what they can gain or lose. Empathy and reciprocity are replaced by a cold, strategic interest. It's as if every interaction is an implicit negotiation, where they only invest when they believe the return will be greater. Imagine, for example, a narcissist who only praises someone in public because they know it will enhance their own image. For them, nothing is free. Everything has a price. This mentality makes relationships exhausting. If you have no value in the narcissist's eyes, you are discarded without hesitation. This can be seen in small actions, like forgetting important invitations or canceling plans when something more advantageous comes along. The narcissist acts like a collector of benefits, and when you stop being useful, you lose your place on the shelf. For those who relate to them, this can cause a constant feeling of being used or never being enough. Stoicism offers a powerful approach to dealing with this dynamic. Healthy relationships, according to the Stoics, should be based on virtues like respect and honesty, not on selfish interests. Do a self-assessment. Who in your life respects your values and stands by you without expecting anything in return? Focus on these bonds and set clear boundaries with those who only seek you out for convenience. A practical tip is to be selective about sharing your energy and time, protecting yourself from people who always want something without giving anything back. Although the narcissist sees relationships as transactions, you can choose a different approach. Cultivate connections based on authenticity and mutual care. When you recognize the narcissist's transactional pattern, you gain clarity not to get intensely emotionally involved. In the end, what matters is surrounding yourself with people who see your worth beyond what they can extract from you. Characteristic 9. I don't need to change. For the narcissist, the idea of change is almost unthinkable. Recognizing the need for transformation would mean admitting flaws, something they avoid at all costs. In their minds, others are the ones who need to change. They are already at the peak of perfection. This type of mindset creates an almost impenetrable barrier to personal growth, making any attempt at dialogue about development a fruitless effort. It's like trying to move a huge rock. You only wear yourself out while it remains motionless. This resistance to change manifests in various areas of life. Imagine a narcissist in a relationship, for example. If you try to point out something that needs to be adjusted for better coexistence, they quickly flip the narrative. The problem isn't me, it's you, is a phrase that constantly echoes. Meanwhile, they continue repeating the same patterns, as if the world around them had to adapt to their pace. Stoicism offers an opposing view. Change is not only inevitable, but necessary. Stoics believe that self-knowledge and evolution are paths to a more fulfilling life. If you feel trapped in a relationship where the other person refuses to change, ask yourself, what can I change in myself to break free from this cycle? This reflection can be the first step towards building a reality where you don't depend on someone who refuses to evolve. The truth is, the narcissist can choose to remain static, but that doesn't mean you have to do the same. By accepting that change is a continuous process, you free yourself from the expectations of transforming someone who doesn't want to be transformed. While they resist, you move forward, creating a life that reflects who you truly are and who you want to become. Did you realize how predictable a narcissist's behavior is, even when it seems chaotic? Knowing how they think is like having a map to avoid emotional traps and keep your peace intact. Now, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue allowing them to control you, or will you apply what you've learned and turn the game around? Change begins with small actions, saying no without guilt, setting clear boundaries, and remembering that your worth never depends on their validation. You have the power to transform your life and build relationships that respect your essence. Why wait? Share in the comments below what impacted you most in this video and what steps you plan to take. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to keep learning how to protect your peace and strengthen yourself against toxic behaviors. Your emotional freedom is just a click away. See you in the next video.